Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, September 25th. For introduction purposes, my name is Todd Wilchin. I am the chair of the county board this year. On my left, fellow commissioners Bill Avery and Deb Shore. On my right, fellow commissioner Roma Amundsen. I'm the vice chair. Commissioner Jennifer Brinkman is on vacation this week, so she will not be joining us. From the county attorney's office, we have Jen Holloway. From the county clerk's office, we have the county clerk, Dan Nolte, and Monet McCollum. From the county board office, we have our chief administrative officer, Carrie Egan, and our chief deputy administrative officer, Ann Ames. Now, if you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, would you please start the agenda?
A copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is located on the wall at the rear of the hearing room. Additionally, a copy of all written material to be discussed at today's open meeting is available from the county clerk's staff at the front of the hearing room. The material can also be viewed on the county's website at lancaster.ne.gov. Agenda item 1 are minutes. Approval of the minutes of the Board of Commissioners meeting held on Tuesday, September 18th, 2018.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from our last Board of Commissioners meeting held last Tuesday. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, Mr. Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Avery.
Yes.
Shore.
Yes.
Amundsen.
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Next is number 2, claims. Approval of all claims processed through September 25th, 2018.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve all claims processed through today. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore.
Yes.
Amundsen.
Yes.
Avery.
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Number 3 is a special presentation declaring September as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Sandy Morrissey, Region 5 Prevention Director.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. And Todd, thanks for having me come to give you an update. So I do have information in front of each of you. I think it's important that you know what's happening nationally, statewide, and then locally. So in Nebraska, we are about 37th in the nation with the lowest suicide rate. We're in the top 10 with youth suicide rate. So back in 2008, we received the Garrett Lee Smith grant, and it's a 5-year grant. Once those dollars went away, we did see a decline. A lot of public awareness, a lot of strategies that were effective. Once that went away, we began to see an increase. So the state applied again for another Garrett Lee Smith, and we received it. We're going into our final year. It runs October through September. So I want to tell you some things we've put in place. Emergency Director Cassidy was part of the Lancaster Suicide Prevention Coalition, and he reviewed all completions within the county. And he came up with one strategy that he said was what he saw as imperative, and it was to make sure we had gun boxes with locks and then stickers on it with the 1-800 number that you have in front of you, the national number. And the reason we believe that is suicide is a very impulsive act, and if we can stop them within just a few seconds and instill some hope, give them information and connect with someone that knows how to help them in terms of next steps, they generally won't follow through. And if people get the help that they need, over 95% will never attempt again. So it's one of the most preventable causes of death. So these stickers also are going out. We have school bus drivers, elementary all the way through high school, that are even putting them in their buses. Teachers have them on their file cabinets. Agencies are using them. These oblong really provide locally what are some resources available. Our job isn't to, we've had some adults say, boy, you're putting a lot on our kids' shoulders. having them have to talk about suicide, those kind of things, they're already talking about it. We have to equip them and give them the appropriate resources. So we're not trying to build social workers, counselors, therapists. We need community members to be resourceful and know who they can turn to and what's available for them. We also are doing a couple of different training pieces. The QPR that you have in front of you, Question, Persuade, Refer. QPR Institute, it's nationally recognized. It is evidence-based. It's about an hour, hour and a half program. I'm telling you, out of all the education pieces we do for parents, schools, that it's always filled. So within our organization at Region 5 Systems, we have a community QPR training every other month. And we average 30 to 50 people. But then we have community-wide trainings, whether it's through faith partners, different organizations that come. It's question answer, but it's a lot of good information in terms of becoming resourceful. And then we also do youth mental health first aid and adult mental health first aid. And again, we offer those every other month within our organization, but we do community trainings. With QPR, we've now trained within Lancaster, and throughout the region. I bet we're up to about 9,000 people that we have trained. And then with the youth and adult mental health first aid, there is a suicide component in it. And again, the trainings just don't stop. And we get professionals coming as well as lay persons. The youth are eating it up. The other piece that we're doing that you have in front of you, it's called Hope Squads. So we have schools within Lancaster, but also York County. We've now on a collegiate level. We've got SCC, we've got Concordia, we've got Peru, and Hope Squads is peer-to-peer. So it's youth raising their awareness to really identify some of those signs and symptoms. Then their job is to turn that over to the adult that's involved with the Hope Squad so that the youth or young adult can get the help they need. So we've got some good things in place, and I have 2 stories just to follow up with that to show you how it's working. So locally, Dr. Hudnall out of Provo, Utah, he's a former school superintendent. He designed Hope Squads. He was second in the nation with highest suicide rates within his school district. He said something's got to change, and that's how he came upon the Hope Squads. He's developed the curriculum. When we began researching it, we identified that wow, it's very parallel to Nebraska. We brought him here. People are utilizing it. Schools are getting on board. So within Lincoln, it's Lincoln High. Lincoln East came to our training last week. We've got Bryan Learning Center. So it's based on individual schools' wants and needs. But Dr. Hudnall called me after our initial training last year, and he said, I got an email from a young girl. And she talked about herself, and she said, problems with life, but I'm okay. And don't tell anybody I'm writing you, but it's okay. And that's a typical adolescent in the sense of not really maybe knowing how to explain emotionally what's going on, reaching out for help but scared, so pulling back. He called me and he said, this is her name, and she identified her school. I said, I'll take it from here. I called the principal. He said, I know who you're talking about. It was a middle schooler. He said, I'm on it. Thank you so much. So it worked that quick, which may have saved months with that young woman. And then on a statewide level, Peru had a completion. I guess it would be last December, January. And I got a call on a Sunday night at home, and it was a woman out in the Panhandle area. And she's in prevention. She said, Sandy, one of my best friends, her daughter completed, and she goes to Peru State. Tomorrow morning when you get to work, can you help? And we have LOSS teams, local outreach to suicide survivors. And Lancaster took the lead with development of a LOSS team. I said, absolutely. I'll call the clinician on duty, and LOSS team includes a clinician and 2 people that have experienced loss due to suicide. They go down. The national research shows if LOSS team gets involved, people that have been affected generally will get into counseling anywhere from about 39 to 120 days. Those that don't, the average, it's 5 to 7 years with them ruminating about why didn't I see, what could I have done, those kind of things. And then they're at greater risk, 4 to 6 times greater risk for suicide themselves. So it's that type of education we have to do with folks. I get to the office Monday morning, and my first line of business was to contact the clinician. The phone rings. It's a gentleman out of Region 6, the Omaha area. And he said, I understand you oversee prevention in Region 5. Can you help? My daughter was one that found her. That was from Panhandle to Omaha to me. I said, absolutely, we have a lost team going down. Subsequently, Peru has put in place, they now have someone trained in QPR. They can do their local. Adult mental health first aid, and we'll get her trained in youth mental health first aid when it comes around again. And they rat our training to develop a Hope Squad. So we're putting preventative measures in place. The strategies are there. I think Nebraska's working really hard. There's a website now, Hope Link. And I think we're really doing a good job with a tough situation. So if you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
Any questions for Ms. Morrissey? I see from Commissioner Amundsen has a question.
I do have, you're doing a tremendous job, and that is just fantastic. The fact that Nebraska is in the top 10, that is really a serious thing in the nation. What are some of the characteristics of the youth? Are there some general youth are
characteristics? Well, withdrawing.
Okay.
Huge change in behavior. And some of that is adolescent, typical.
Yeah.
But if all of a sudden their interests, extreme change in interests, if there's any self-harming behaviors, not sleeping at night. And I'll tell you, that's one of our next strategies with families. We've got school policies, we have local policies, we have state policies. What's your family policy? When we talk policies, it's like, what's important? Is having your kids sleep 8 to 10 hours. It seems like a very simple strategy. However, we've got a lot of kids allowed with their cell phone in their room, and it's going off through the night. Superintendents, school personnel are indicating we are seeing anxiety and depression at much earlier ages. That's an environmental issue. That's not a school issue. So we're going to address some of that. So it's also online. What are kids being subjected to? What are they looking at that they're not able to handle? And they don't even know where to put it, and then they don't talk about it because it's probably a place they shouldn't have gone anyway. So, yeah, it's difficult, but really with any signs or symptoms, what we tell youth or adults is keep watching. If there's a pattern, if there's a concern, reach out. Get some support. Find the resources. Nebraska Mental Health Association even has a warm line. We're giving that to kids. And when we say warm, that means it's not a hotline necessarily, but they will sit and talk. What's going on? And we know those hours after school and actually 10 p.m. on, how kids begin to start to think about those things bothering them, whether it's peers, relationships, schoolwork, home life. Yeah.
Commissioner Shore had a question.
The QRP program, are you familiar with other regions, and are they operating that as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Because you mentioned Panhandle, and I was thinking with my NACO hat on if it's something that might be available at county board training meetings across the state to train commissioners and supervisors. Just, I don't know, I think spreading the word is important.
It is, and absolutely.
Okay.
And it's those populations that oftentimes don't get to be part of. And really, people are, I just can't tell you the numbers
follow
that
up with
come.
you at a different point on that.
Yeah, it's awesome.
And I would just add, I know that on every region governing board across the state, there's always one commissioner who represents every county.
Right.
But I think it would be probably beneficial to start having those conversations with the other county commissioners, because I can only be responsible for Lancaster County.
Right.
But I think, like you mentioned, that with the loss of funding, you saw an increase in suicide rates. And so I think that's something that we need to talk about, because if there's something that the counties can do to provide that funding when there's a loss of, federal and state monies, I think it's something that we need to talk about, because that would be a worthwhile investment, is to prevent suicides, especially among the youth in our communities. And so, and I do appreciate your work, and I know that I see you every month, usually at the governing board meeting, providing updates. And
we could do a QPR there and have all of you invited.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but.
Any other questions for Ms. Morrissey? Otherwise, Mr. Clerk, could you read the resolution?
This is under new business 5I. This is a resolution declaring September as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. And the resolution says, whereas September is known around the United States as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month and is intended to help promote awareness surrounding each of the suicide prevention resources available to us in our community. The simple goal is to learn how to help those around us and how to talk about suicide without increasing the risk of harm. And whereas suicidal thoughts can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, race, orientation, income level, religion, or background. And whereas according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, each year more than 41,000 people die by suicide. And whereas suicide is the 10th leading cause of death among adults in the U.S. and the second leading cause of death among people aged 10 to 24. And whereas Lancaster County is no different than any other community in the country, but chooses to publicly state and place our full support behind local educators, mental health professionals, athletic coaches, PAC leaders, mentors, police officers, and parents as partners in supporting our community and simply being available to one another. And whereas local organizations like Suicide Prevention Services and national organizations like the National Alliance on Mental Illness are on the front lines of battle that many still refuse to discuss in public, as suicide and mental illness remain too taboo a topic to speak on. And whereas every member of our community should understand that throughout life's struggles, we all need the occasional reminder that we are all silently fighting our own battles. And whereas the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners encourages all residents to take the time to inquire as to the well-being of their family, friends, and neighbors over the next few days, and to generally convey their appreciation for their existence by any gesture they deem appropriate. A simple phone call, message, handshake, or hug can go a long way toward helping someone realize that suicide is not the answer. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners do hereby proclaim the month of September 2018 as National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in Lancaster County, dated this 25th day of September by the Lancaster County Board of Commissioners.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution declaring September as the National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Thanks, Sandy.
Number 4 is a public hearing. This is setting the final tax request at a different amount than the prior year tax request for Lancaster County and the Rural Library for Lancaster County. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open up the public hearing, setting the final tax rate for Lancaster County.
All right, Dennis Meyer, County Budget and Fiscal Officer. Just when you think the budget process might be over, we've got one more public hearing to do. State statute requires that if you change your property tax request in dollars from the previous fiscal year, you must hold a public hearing and adopt a resolution, which will then be forwarded to the county clerk's office, so that as they're in their process of finalizing levies, which will come forward to you within the next couple weeks, this is just maybe the checks and balances, so that the county clerk's office also understands where we're at. So back on August 30th, when we adopted the budget, we did adopt the budget at a different property tax request amount than the previous year. Now the levy is staying the same, and so the levy will be set the same amount that it was set at last year, but the dollar amounts increased. So because of that, we're holding this public hearing. The resolution that will be adopted will show those numbers, but it will also show the levy to be set at the same amount.
Any questions for Mr. Meyer? Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the audience wishing to testify in support of this resolution? Anyone wishing to testify in opposition or in the neutral capacity? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Mr. Clerk, would you please see the correlating item?
This is under new business. 5B is a resolution in the matter of setting the 2018-2019 property tax request for Lancaster County at a different amount than that of the prior year.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second adopting the resolution setting the 2018-2019 property tax request for Lancaster County. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. C is a special designated license application from GNS Corp., Cappy's Bar, for an event at Hillside Events, 12400 West Denton Road, Denton, on Saturday, October 13th, 2018.
No, you don't need to testify. Sorry.
My name is John Caparelli, General Manager at Cappy's Bar and Catering. Here to answer any questions if you have any.
Well, normally what happens is, since I don't recall ever seeing you before the county board as an applicant, we typically would like to know more about the business you operate and your experience, and if you have staff that's trained to, and specifically to the event, you know, what measures you take to ensure that the Liquor Control Act is properly followed.
Okay. I've been in the business for 27 years now. Been part of Cappy's for 12 years that we've been open. We do a lot of catering for weddings, all sorts of outdoor events, indoor events. This is probably, I'd guess, probably my 200th wedding I've probably catered. As far as alcohol goes, outside of city limits, this is the first one I've ever done for alcohol catering. That's why I'm here, obviously. Trained staff, all my staff has been through the training courses, every single one of them. We will have probably 3 or 4 bartenders there, myself, and a security watching indoor and outdoor. Probably will not do wristbands like we do at the club, but we shouldn't need to for a wedding reception, I'm thinking. On the sheet, it says estimated 200 people. I just had a meeting with the wedding party, and they're looking at maybe 110, 120 now. So that's why we're not doing the wristbands. It'll be a lot smaller than what we anticipated. I don't know what else you'd like to know.
Commissioner Shore?
I'm well aware how long you've been in business because I live in that area. As you might know, Hillside was somewhat controversial when we approved their operating permit to have a special event center. So
Yeah, I'm brand new to Hillside. This was
Yeah.
a very last minute thing. I'd never even heard of the place, so this is
so
new to me.
we know the neighbors are watching is my point. So
Well, and that's,
it'll go smoothly.
yeah, Commissioner Avery.
Have you plenty of parking at this place where you're planning the event?
I've never been there, but I think there was a floor plan and a property plan that was included. And yeah, there's a lot of parking from what I can see.
Security, you're going to have security there too?
Yeah, and I'll be one of the security.
Well, and the security was a requirement of the special use permit that the county board approved, that all events at Hillside must have security.
Yeah.
And so,
And I honestly, I wasn't even aware of that, but I bring security anyway. Anytime there's anything outside, we do, just to be safe.
right. Any other questions?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the SDL application from Cappy's Bar. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes,
Motion carries 4-0.
thank you.
Thank you.
D is a resolution directing the county treasurer to issue tax sale certificates to the county on all parcels of real estate where there are delinquent taxes, and also directing the county attorney's office to begin tax foreclosure proceedings.
Candace Meredith, Chief Deputy County Treasurer. I'm just here because the list that we provided has changed. We had an investor purchase 5 of the 8, so I just wanted to change the list and add that to the agenda.
Okay.
Okay, so I can get this to you now.
I will move approval with the revised list of sale tax certificates.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second approving the resolution to issue the tax sale certificates as amended. Any discussion? Okay, please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. 5E is a resolution directing the county engineer to conduct a study and the planning department to write a report regarding vacating portions of West McKelvey Road, more particularly described in Exhibit A and located in Lancaster County, Nebraska.
Did you want to speak? Okay.
Pam Dingman, Lancaster County Engineer. On the overhead, I've placed an exhibit showing in red outline the area that the applicant has requested be vacated. And of course, I haven't studied this area yet. This is just talking to the board about directing me to study the area to see if it can be surplus. And I note that the applicants are here today too.
Thank you. My name is Randy Brown from Malcolm, and I'm here with Nadine Link, the village clerk of Malcolm. We're asking for this right-of-way to be vacated because the land to the north of the right-of-way is currently owned by the village, and that's where our town ball field lies. And we have recently purchased the land to the south of this right-of-way for the addition of another ball field for the children of Malcolm. So we feel like it's in the county's best interest to grant this vacation, because if you were to put a road through there someday, you would have to put in a bridge. I've seen the floodplain map, and you would have to put in a pretty good sized bridge for no bigger than the creek is. And if you were ever to put a road through there, it would certainly imperil our ball players and our spectators for what we're going to build there. Furthermore, we're asking that the commissioners please consider vacating this land with no monies exchanging hands. We feel like this is a reasonable...
Yeah,
yes.
there's a time and a place to have that conversation.
Okay.
Not right now, though.
Okay,
Because right
fair
now,
enough.
we're just talking about the study.
Okay, good. Any questions?
I would have more questions, like the
Yes.
map that's up right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm not familiar with this is not in my district. This is in
Mhm.
Commissioner Brinkman's district. But the area that's shaded in blue, is that a wetland?
No, that is a parcel.
Okay.
And this map was obviously printed with that parcel highlighted.
Okay. So there's no reason why it's blue, okay.
No, there's no reason why it's blue. I would say that the western edge of that parcel is the creek in question.
Okay, and so, but right now, there is no roadway, even though that has been plotted, there's been no paving or any roadway.
Yeah, there's no
And
roadway of any
maintenance,
sort.
It was just the right-of-way.
That's right, and it's quite overgrown in some portions, so there's been no maintenance to the right-of-way.
And so, and this is owned by the county, but this is in the Malcolm's jurisdiction?
Yes?
Okay, okay, so there really wouldn't be any reason for the county to put a road in Malcolm, I guess.
Yeah, the road would be probably less than a quarter-mile long, and again, you would have to put in a bridge, and you would be running a road right through our ball field operations.
Let me make a clarification. It is not within Malcolm's village limits. It is within their jurisdiction.
Okay.
So, and I think that with vacation, right-of-way vacation requests, they always become, even when we try not to make them complex, they always become more complex. And Ken has, of course, another picture. Good job, Ken. More complex than we want them to be. And so we just want the opportunity. Of course, this is the process that we study it and we come back and make a recommendation. And at that time, you can state your
Okay.
reasons. In the meantime, we just study it and make a recommendation to the board. I think we typically come back to you guys at a staff meeting, and then later have action.
I will move approval of the resolution to conduct the study.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to authorize the study of the
Thank you.
vacating part of the West McCalvey Road.
Just one comment. We will let Malcolm know when that staff or the recommendation comes forward, correct?
Well, yes, we have 30 days now, according to the way the rules are set up, to respond back to the board. And so Ken and I will start our work on that, and we'll respond, and of course, we'll let Malcolm know.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I was just going to say, it also includes a report from Planning Department, which will be pretty short because it is in Malcolm's jurisdiction, but they also are under the same timeline. I'll have 30 days to get that to you guys.
So the report comes from Lancaster Planning, or does it come from Malcolm Planning?
It'll come from our planning, Lancaster Planning.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. F is a resolution in a matter of county maintenance of roads in Nemaha Ridge Addition.
I've put, Pam Damon, Lancaster County Engineer, I've put a map of the subdivision in question up on the overhead. So what our procedure is we go ahead and we review the streets contained within the subdivision and other things like storm sewer and ditches. They are required to bring it up to standards, and then what the procedure has been is we recommend we accept maintenance by the county. And I would just like to note, of course, as you're all aware, that although we've been accepting subdivisions for maintenance for about 40 years now, we have no funds set aside to maintain them. And it is becoming burdensome to my department.
So are you recommending denial or approval of this?
Well, I mean, by the way the system is set up, I can only recommend approval because they've met the criteria.
Met the standards.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to, I guess, approve the resolution approving the county maintenance of roads in the Nemaha Ridge Addition. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. G is a grant adjustment notification for the Emergency Management Performance Grant for the 2018-2019 fiscal year. The award amount is $103,399.50.
Good morning, Jim David, Saber Director, Lincoln Lancaster County Emergency Management. I just wanted to make myself available to answer any questions. A little background about this. This is our initial grant award that covers the fiscal year 18-19. So as we get to the close of the fiscal year, every county in the state can participate in the EMPG program, and there is a possibility that there may be some funds left over that we can apply for a reappropriation. So this is the initial reward. We have our application in, which is what generated this GAN being issued, and then we complete and submit the quarterly report, so we keep ourselves in good standing for any reappropriation that may be available toward the end of the fiscal year.
Okay, any questions for Mr. David Saber?
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the grant adjustment notification. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. 5H is a contract with Navia Benefit Solutions, Inc. for annual service flexible benefit spending plan. The contract term is from October 1st, 2018 through July 31st, 2022. The cost of county shall not exceed $35,640.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the contract with Navia Benefit Solutions. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. I, as a network, provide a contract with Regional Behavioral Health Authority for the provision of certain behavioral mental health services at the Mental Health Crisis Center. The county shall be reimbursed up to $1,172,103 for the services. The term of the agreement is July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the network provider contract with the Regional Behavioral Health Authority. Any discussion?
Yeah,
Ms. Holloway?
if you look at the agreement, you'll see it's missing Scott's signature. He was supposed to be here this morning. He is not. So I just recommend you guys approve it, but that it's contingent upon Scott coming and signing it so it can be final and sent to the region.
He signed it, didn't
Did he come and sign it? Oh, well.
He did come. Well, there's another, I thought he had to sign on the first page. On this one.
$1 million contract, and he's not here. Okay, whatever.
$1 million.
Okay. There is still one more signature that he needs to sign, so we'll have to get him to come back.
Okay. So we had a motion and a second, so we need to make that contingent upon the director signing it, or?
Okay. I would accept an amendment to that.
I will.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the resolution, or the contract with Region 5 for the Mental Health Crisis Center, with the understanding that the director needs to sign the contract. Any additional discussion? Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. 5J is a grant contract with Boys and Girls Club in the amount of $60,000 for the Formula for Impact program through the Nebraska Commission on Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice Juvenile Services Aid Grant. The term of the grant contract is July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019.
Good morning, Sarah Hoyle, Director of Lincoln Lancaster Human Services. Agenda items J through M are all grant contracts through my office. I would be happy to answer any questions. They are all for competitive funding. Some are for state funding and some are for federal funding.
Any questions for Ms. Hoyle?
Are we going to take them up all together?
I think we'll take them separately because they're not under consent item.
Move approval of J.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the grant contract with Boys and Girls Club. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. K is acceptance of the Operation Tipping Point grant from the Nebraska Commission on Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice in the amount of $25,375 from July 1st, 2018 through June 30th, 2019.
Move approval.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second to accept the Operation Tipping Point grant. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Five L is a grant contract with the Family Violence Council in the amount of $15,000 for the coordinated response to reducing violence program through the Nebraska Commission on Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice. The term of the grant contract is July 1st, 2018 through May 31st, 2019.
Move approval?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the grant contract with Family Violence Council. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. M is a grant contract with Voices of Hope in the amount of $49,093 for the coordinated response to reducing violence program through the Nebraska Commission on Law Enforcement and Criminal Justice. The term of the contract is June 1st, 2018 through May 31st, 2019.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the grant contract with Voices of Hope. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. And is appointment of Richard Campbell to the Lincoln Lancaster County Planning Commission effective September 26, 2018, for a term to expire August 24th, 2023.
Move approval.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to appoint Richard Campbell to the Planning Commission for Lincoln and Lancaster County. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Number 6 are consent items. Utility permit number 1712, allowing Black Hills Energy to install underground gas pipeline from South 82nd Street and Hickman Road northerly to a point approximately 2,000 linear feet north of Roca Road. There is no cost to the county. Amendment to County Contract C-17-947 with Physicians Laboratory Services for an increase in the cost of forensic pathology services for the county. The county shall pay for the services as provided in Attachment A. Right-of-way contracts with the following: Allen Gilbert, Southwest 142nd Street and West Hallam Road, in the amount of $487. Archie D. Soden, South 78th Street and Hickman Road, in the amount of $595. Orr Trust, Kara John and Thelma Orr Trustees, South 78th Street and Hickman Road, in the amount of $325. Or Revocable Inter Vivos Trust, care of Robert Orr, Trustee, South 78th Street and Hickman Road, in the amount of $325. Receive and place on file the County Treasurer's midterm report of 2015 distress warrants. Setting a public hearing for the 1 and 6 year Road and Bridge Improvement Program on Tuesday, October 9th, 2018, at 6:30 p.m. in Room 112 of the County City Building.
Move approval of the consent items.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent items. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Avery,
Yes.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. Number 7 is public comment. Those wishing to speak on items relating to county business not on the agenda may do so at this time.
Okay, is there anyone from the public wishing to speak on a county item not on the agenda? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, would you please proceed with the announcements?
The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold a staff meeting on Thursday, September 27th, 2018 at 8:30 a.m. in the Bill Luxford studio of the County City Building. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners will hold its next regular meeting on Tuesday, October 2nd, 2018 at 9 a.m. in Room 112 of the County City Building. County Commissioners can be reached at 402-441-7447 or commission@lancaster.ne.gov. The Lancaster County Board of Commissioners meeting is broadcast live on Link TV City. For the rebroadcast schedule, visit lincoln.ne.gov. Meetings are also streamed live on Link TV and can be viewed on YouTube.
Move we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Shore,
Yes.
Amundson,
Yes.
Avery,
Yes.
Wilchin.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0.
Okay, we are adjourned. Have a good week.